Hi everyone, I wanted to share this video with you to share with you my experiences, these lived felt experiences from going from someone that was very overweight, very unhealthy with a lot of health issues and conditions into who I am now, and how I'm healing, deeply healing on a deep cellular level, this body which was, to be honest, quite degenerated. It had quite a lot of diseases and illnesses going on, and it's been quite a remarkable journey, and I wanted to share with you so you can see, so hopefully it may inspire some of you to realize that becoming well is absolutely possible. Feeling well is absolutely possible, even when you feel like that it isn't possible. I want to show you that it is. So all of my life I've spent being quite ill, even from birth. There's a lot of bowel conditions and GI tract conditions in my family, and from the age of 16 I suffered a lot with my digestive system and my bowel, and my dad actually had ulcerative colitis, which turned, the cells had started to turn, and he had to have a large bowel resection. So at 16, when I started to have problems, I hid it because I was afraid. I'd seen what he'd gone through and I was quite afraid. So I hid it for a while, until about 18 or 19, where it got so bad I had to come forward and speak out. You know, and I ended up years later having a partial large and small bowel resection. I'd been on lots of medication, nothing working. And even after the operation, you know, the Crohn's disease came back 3 months later, just above the joint in the bowel. You know, and this really is what started me on the journey of looking at alternative ways to help the body. And then later on, after falling pregnant with my daughter Thea, putting on an incredible amount of weight. And I mean, I'm 4'11", so I'm not tall, and I actually put on nearly 5.5 stone when I was pregnant with her. As I said, I'm 4'11" high, and at my biggest I measured just over 4'3" around, you know, so that was a lot of weight for this small frame to be carrying. And I felt so uncomfortable. And even after I had birth, and it gave birth, and it was a very troublesome birth, it ended up in the emergency cesarean, but even after the birth I didn't lose the weight, and I felt so stuck in a body that I didn't recognize. I couldn't move, I wasn't flexible, I just felt so uncomfortable, and I was so ill as well. I ached, I couldn't move, I was extreme fatigue. And then I eventually ended up with such badly inflamed and infected gallbladder, and it was so full of stones that there was no room. They were literally spilling out into the biliary ducts and blocking everything. And I would have maybe 1 or 2 attacks a day where the pain was so intense it would cause pain-related seizures. So I'd have a seizure and black out. And you know, they tried to keep telling me to have the gallbladder removed, but I didn't want to let them. They'd already removed part of my bowel, and I wasn't going to let them remove any more of my digestive tract, or anything to do with my digestive tract. So I literally said no, and I searched for alternative ways, and I began doing gallbladder flushes and other various things, and actually managed to keep my gallbladder. But I still wasn't losing weight, I still wasn't healthy, and although my gallbladder was feeling better, it was still producing stones, it was still producing too much bile, and it was still giving me troubles. Although not as bad, I was still having a few troubles. So I was really searching for something that I could get my teeth into, that could really heal me at a deep level. And I went back to being vegan. I cut out wheat, dairy, sugar, gluten, you name it, but it still wasn't enough. And while I felt better, and yes, I lost a little bit of weight, I still wasn't feeling well in myself. Eventually I stumbled across the works of Dr. Arnold Ehret, who created the mucusless diet, and Professor Spiro, who actually teaches a lot of his work, Dr. Morse, who I'm currently studying with to become a detoxification and cellular regeneration specialist. And then later on the journey, I came across a wonderful lady called Alexandra Cousins, who has been the one that's really inspired me to step out into the world and share my experiences in the hope that it inspires some of you to know that you can heal, you can achieve wellness. So it was on this journey of living this mucusless diet. So it's basically, it's changing everything you ever think or thought about the way we eat, the foods we eat, what we remove from the body. It turns everything on its head, and some of it's quite radical. Some of it you need to be very open-minded for, because you're kind of like, oh, I was taught this way, whereas this is looking at it from a whole new perspective. So it's like you have to come to it with an empty mind, with I don't know what this is and what this is about. I don't know what anything is or what anything is for. I'm going to come to this with an empty mind of not knowing and allow myself to learn anew. And that's what I did. And pretty quickly after embarking on the journey, I started to notice big differences. This journey isn't all about what we're putting into the body. It's mainly about what we're removing, the obstruction we're removing. And that's key. The other thing that's key is looking at the bodily systems. What's functioning, what's not functioning, what's backed up, what's toxic. Is my body full of acidosis? If so, how can we get this out? We stop putting foods in that create mucus, that create acidosis. And we start removing and getting the bowel to function properly, the kidneys, the lymphatic system. And what I noticed was once I started to really work on that, the excess baggage and weight that I was holding just started to fall away. And as I was fasting or detoxing or working on certain areas of the body, emotional stuff will come up, emotional rubbish and toxicity will come up, and I would use breath work and all the other tools that I have in my toolbox to use to process these emotions too. So some of this stagnant weight that I was holding on to was also emotional stuff. So as I was working on everything that's coming up, the fasting and everything, the weight started to go. And I actually weigh now around what I weighed in my early 20s. I'm 42, and I weigh what I was in my early 20s, and I never ever thought I would ever get back to that. In fact, going back to last year, beginning of last year, the end of the year before, I was actually going to Slimming World, and it never made any sense to me because a lot of the food that you could eat was processed and not particularly very healthy, but people seemed to be losing weight, so I thought I'd give it a go. I just used to go and get weighed really, and I struggled to follow the plan because I didn't like a lot of the foods, as I say, because it was processed, sugars and everything else. And I remember when we was filling out the booklet, you had to put your current weight, and my current weight back then was probably around, I don't know, 10 3/4 stone. And they said, what would you like to get down to? What is your absolute goal? And I was like, well, I'd love to be 8.5 stone. You know, that's when I was late 20s, early 30s. That would be lovely. But in my head, it was like, I'm never going to get back to that. And then you had to put down what you'd be happy with. So I'd put 9.5 stone, again thinking, God, that's a lot to lose, but I could get there. And really, I only ever lost a few pounds and then put it back on, and so on and so forth. So now when I get on the scales, and I'm now like 8 stone 3, 8 stone 4, so I'm less than what I thought I would ever achieve when I'd written in that booklet in Slimming World, and I'm back to a weight that I was when I was in my early 20s, and feeling healthy and vibrant and full of life, and not having troubles with my Crohn's disease anymore, like it's non-existent, and my gallbladder massively healthy, my liver's working better, my kidneys are filtering. So it's like the whole body's coming back online, and as it does, I'm losing all this stagnant horrible weight. I'm feeling more alive. I'm eating less, but I have more energy. You know, the mind boggles around this, because you're just like, the mind's like, I don't get this. And yet the body and the soul says, but we do. It's quite incredible. I'm going to post at the end of this video some pictures so you'll see the weight loss, but I want to show you as well the reports that I have from a scan that I had done. And what you'll see is the gallbladder, right back at the beginning, before I really delved into this journey. I was toe dipping a little bit before, and then I was like, right, I want to give this a go. So probably around October time, when I really delved into getting into the fasting and really removing obstructions and really working on the kidneys and the lymph. And you'll see the scans that I did on the gallbladder, and then you'll see the ones that I did, I think it was January this year. And you see the difference. It's gone from being completely in the red to in the green. You'll see another one of the fatty liver, because I had a fatty liver which the doctor said would probably always be fatty, it'd be hard to reverse. And you'll see on the scan how it's reversing. You'll also see the pH levels, and you'll see the scan back in October, which is very, very acidic. And then you'll actually see that it's now right back at base, almost tipping into the alkaline side, but not too much. We're at that base level, and we're in the green side of the alkaline. So you can really see the proof. And Alexandra used to always say, and it's something that's always stuck with me, is you don't have to prove to people or try to prove to people that this works. You become the proof. If you can become the proof, they can see it. If they can see it, they can see it's possible. So for me, having these scan results is incredible, because I can show you that I'm becoming the proof that this works. What I love about this pathway, and this is why I created Radical Wellness, is that it isn't a one-size-fits-all. It's about finding what works for you as an individual, finding what that is, finding the levels, going up and down the detox pyramid, and achieving. There's no failure. So it's all about achieving. Even if you feel like you've failed or you've gone back to a bit of dense foods, it's not about that. It's looking at, okay, why did I reach for that? Is there an underlying emotion that's coming up that needs working on? The whole thing is simply a journey into becoming a more healthier, vibrant, alive, amazing new you. I'm so excited to be able to share this with the world. Nervous and excited because I'm stepping out and saying, here, try this. It's radical, but I really, really wish that every single one of you can experience the levels of wellness, the levels of energy, the levels of vibrancy, and also feeling so deeply connected to your true self and the divine that your soul purpose just wants to birth through you. It's quite incredible. So I'll share now these pictures so you can actually see in black and white the proof. So here are the photos, and you can see in my face the inflammation, the emotional pain in my eyes, my skin and the wrinkles. I look back at these photos and I was always so fatigued and achy, as well as having Crohn's and gallbladder issues. I had rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, chronic fatigue, all of these things. And you can see it in my face. These pictures coming up, these are pretty hard to share, especially publicly. But I really want to step out and show people what's possible. You can see here, this is literally not long after having Thea, and how it had left my body and my skin. I never, ever thought I would ever get my tummy back. My skin had stretched so much that I thought I would always be left with this skin hanging. And I began to lose a bit of weight through dieting and bits and pieces, but I still didn't feel well. I still wasn't right. And the weight still wasn't really coming off. I hit a point where it was just stuck. And then you can see, after going back to being vegan and cutting out wheat, dairy, sugar, gluten, I started to lose the weight. And then I really started to lose the weight once I stepped into this pathway of Radical Wellness. And you can see here, this was this was maybe like a few weeks ago, and I've lost a little bit of weight since then too. I'm back in this body that I feel healthy in, vibrant in, happy in. I'm back fitting in clothes that I never ever dreamed I ever would again. I have my confidence back, and I have my health back. I'm back doing my yoga, and I'm back enjoying my yoga and exercise. I can run, I can jump, I can do all these things that I couldn't do before because I just literally was so unhealthy and unwell. You can really see a difference, not only in my body, but in my skin, in my face, in my eyes. You know, I'm 42 years old and I feel the best I've ever felt. I feel alive, vibrant, healthy, happy, and I'm really enjoying being a mum. Here you can see the photos. This is the gallbladder function and you can see it's in the red. And then this was a few months after embarking on this pathway, all in the green. These next ones show the fatty liver in the yellow. And then it shows you here a few months in how it's being reversed. We've got it down into the blue. And the next photos is the acidic levels in the body, very, very acidic. A few months into this journey, and here we are on the alkaline side of the green. As you can see from those photos, you know, you can see the drastic and dramatic changes that have happened to my body, and also the scan results too, so you can really see it for yourself. My deepest desire is that I can reach out and help guide you on your journeys through this. And it's not about healing you or taking responsibility for you. It's literally just being able to re-educate, to be able to hold your hand and support you and kind of point you in the right direction of what can help you, and then just literally being there alongside you for that journey. So I really do hope that you will look at joining a Pathway to Radical Wellness, not just for the work that I'm bringing, but that all the work the lovely team members are bringing, because between us all, it feels like we've brought in everything from the health side, the physical side, to the bodily side, to the emotional side, the spiritual side, and the soulful side, to really help you achieve that level of health and wellness. So if you've got any questions at all, please do reach out. Search for the group. It's A Pathway to Radical Wellness. Have a look on the website, www.thelovealchemy.com, or the Love Alchemy business page. Reach out to any one of us at the team. We're all here to help and support you. And I really hope to see you all soon.